Most people think getting rich is loud, flashy, and obvious. They imagine big cars, big houses, and bank notifications that make your jaw drop. But real wealth? It's a lot quieter. Real wealth doesn't make headlines. It doesn't announce itself at dinner parties or on Instagram. It grows quietly in the background, in habits that feel almost invisible day to day. Here's what nobody tells you. Most people don't recognize it because they're looking for confetti, fireworks, or some dramatic aha moment. They miss the subtle power of options, breathing room, and compounding because it doesn't feel like rich while it's happening. Something strange happens when you're quietly building your future. You don't notice it, but over 5, 10, even 20 years, it transforms everything. Hey, I'm Brian, and I spend way too much time thinking about personal finance, wealth psychology, and how small, disciplined choices create enormous outcomes. I'm going to show you 8 signs you're secretly getting rich, even if it doesn't feel like it yet. Because the truth is, real wealth isn't flashy. It's invisible, intentional, and completely under the radar. If this helps you see your own progress, go ahead and hit subscribe and like, because you deserve to recognize what you're building. Here's what nobody tells you about getting rich. It doesn't feel exciting. There's no confetti, no champagne toast, no sudden announcement that you've made it. Most people expect wealth to arrive as a dramatic moment, but in reality, it's subtle, mundane, almost boring. It shows up in skipped impulse purchases, in automated investments, in patiently letting your savings grow while others chase the next shiny thing. It doesn't feel like freedom. There's no obvious signal on your phone, no immediate applause. But something fundamental happens when you quietly make the right choices day after day. That $20 coffee you didn't buy, that $200 paycheck you invested instead of spent, that spreadsheet you actually reviewed for the first time. These small, unglamorous actions compound into options, breathing room, and power you can't easily see yet. If you've recognized even one of these behaviors in yourself, you're already on a path most people never find. And over the next few minutes, I'm going to show you 8 clear signs you're secretly getting rich, so you can see just how much momentum you've quietly built. Number 1, living below your means. Living below your means isn't about cutting joy or depriving yourself. It's about being intentional with your money, spending less than you earn so that gap becomes freedom, options, and financial breathing room. It's the quiet difference between a paycheck that disappears instantly and a paycheck that works for you. You don't need flashy gadgets or a bigger apartment to feel rich. You just need a margin between what comes in and what goes out. Here's why it matters. That gap, the difference between earning $5,000 a month and spending $4,000, is your launch pad. That $1,000 isn't just saved. It compounds over years. It gives you freedom from panic, choices you can actually control, and a sense of security that most people mistake for luck. Living below your means isn't deprivation, it's autonomy. Rich Richard versus Poor Peter. Rich Richard earns $5,000 a month, spends $4,000, and invests the remaining $1,000 consistently. In 10 years, with 7% growth, that $1,000 monthly gap grows to over $166,000. Poor Peter earns the same $5,000, spends $5,000, maybe even borrows for lifestyle upgrades, and ends up with $0 savings after 10 years. That $166,000 gap? That's options. That's freedom. That's compounding in action. Principal extraction. This is margin mastery. When you intentionally create space between your income and your spending, you've leveled up psychologically. You're no longer a passive consumer. You're a decision maker with leverage over your future. Actionable insight. Take 1 month to track every expense and find even $200 you can redirect into savings or investments. That small margin starts your quiet path to wealth today. Number 2, long-term thinking. Most people chase instant results, flipping stocks, hunting for side hustles, hoping for a quick win that will make everything easier. But real wealth isn't built overnight. Long-term thinking is about decades, not days. It's about planting seeds today, watering them patiently, and letting compound growth do its quiet work. You don't see it immediately, but 20 years later, Those decisions create enormous freedom. Why it matters? Our brains are wired for instant gratification. The short-term feels urgent, the long-term invisible. But when you focus on long-term growth, investing in a retirement account, building passive income streams, reinvesting dividends, you step off the hamster wheel of constant comparison and anxiety. Something fundamental happens when you commit to the long game. Wealth starts to feel inevitable, not accidental. Rich Richard versus Poor Peter. Rich Richard invests $300 every month into a diversified portfolio, earning an average of 7% annually. In 20 years, that disciplined contribution grows to roughly $166,000. Poor Peter waits for the right moment or chases hot tips, skipping monthly contributions. 20 years later, he has $0 invested and regrets every missed opportunity. That difference isn't luck, it's consistent, patient, long-term thinking. Principal extraction. This is temporal discipline. When you prioritize decades over days, you've leveled up psychologically. You see opportunity in consistency, not drama. Actionable insight. Automate at least one monthly investment today. Let time, not your mood, decide the growth of your wealth. If you're new here and just subscribed, comment your name below. I read every comment and shout out new subscribers in my next video. I do appreciate you joining me on this finance journey. Number 3, financial buffer, kept quiet. A financial buffer is simple. 3 to 6 months of living expenses tucked away, quietly protecting you from life's shocks. Most people underestimate the power of this. Emergencies don't announce themselves. They show up as car repairs, medical bills, or temporary job loss. Without a buffer, you're reactive, stressed, and vulnerable. With one, you're calm, deliberate, and free to make better decisions. Why it matters? A buffer creates breathing room, both financially and psychologically. Rich people rarely feel rich in terms of spending. They feel rich in terms of freedom and control. That $15,000 sitting untouched isn't flashy, but it gives you autonomy. You can make a career change, negotiate better deals, or weather a market drop without panic. That uneventful stability is the quiet engine of real wealth. Rich Richard versus Poor Peter. Rich Richard maintains a $15,000 emergency fund, covering 3 to 6 months of expenses. When his car needs a $4,000 repair, he pays calmly and continues investing. Poor Peter has $0 saved. The same $4,000 repair forces him onto a high-interest credit card, adding $500 in interest charges and delays investing for months. Over 5 years, that buffer saves Richard roughly $10,000 in interest and lost growth, while Peter struggles to recover. Principal extraction. This is breathing room mastery. When you quietly build a buffer, you've leveled up psychologically. You can act from choice rather than fear. Actionable insight. Open a separate savings account today and set a goal for 3 months' worth of expenses. Even small, regular deposits start to give you immunity to emergencies. Number 4, earning more without spending more. Most people think a raise or promotion automatically makes life better. They imagine a new car, a fancier phone, or a bigger apartment. But real wealth isn't about upgrading your lifestyle every time your income rises. It's about immunity to lifestyle inflation, earning more while maintaining the same intentional spending habits. That extra money doesn't vanish. It compounds quietly in your investments and builds options you can't easily take away. Why it matters? Lifestyle creep is subtle. That $500 per month small upgrade feels harmless now, but over 5 or 10 years, it eats hundreds of thousands in potential growth. Meanwhile, keeping spending steady allows even modest raises to work like an invisible money machine. Something fundamental happens when you earn more without spending more. You get freedom from the paycheck-to-paycheck treadmill, even if it doesn't feel flashy. Rich Richard versus Poor Peter. Rich Richard receives a $10,000 annual raise and redirects it entirely into investments, earning 7% annually. In 10 years, those raises grow to roughly $140,000. Poor Peter receives the same $10,000 raise but upgrades his lifestyle immediately. New car, bigger apartment, extra subscriptions. 10 years later, He has $0 additional savings, and that raise has vanished into expenses. That gap? That's the compounding advantage of discipline. Principal extraction. This is income leverage. When you control lifestyle inflation, you've leveled up psychologically. You see raises as freedom, not as permission to spend. Actionable insight. Next time you get a raise, automatically direct at least 50% to investments or savings. Watch that invisible momentum grow over time. Number 5, stop comparing to others. Most people make financial decisions based on what everyone else is doing. They chase trends, buy what friends buy, and fall prey to FOMO, the fear of missing out. Real wealth isn't built by keeping up. It's built by ignoring the noise and defining success on your own terms. When you stop comparing, you stop reacting emotionally to every new purchase or must-have upgrade. You focus on what actually matters: growth, security, and options. Why it matters. Peer pressure is subtle but costly. That $3,000 vacation your friends brag about, or the $500 just because upgrade may feel small. But over time, these small deviations accumulate. Wealth is quiet. It compounds while others chase status. Something fundamental happens when you stop comparing. You gain clarity, autonomy, and the ability to invest without guilt or distraction. Rich Richard versus Poor Peter. Rich Richard ignores the new gadget trend and invests the $3,000 instead. In 10 years, at 7% growth, that money grows to roughly $6,000, quietly expanding his options. Poor Peter buys the gadget to keep up, enjoys a brief thrill, and ends up with $0 growth, still trapped in the same financial cycle. That subtle difference? It's identity versus impulse, autonomy versus reaction. Principal extraction. This is comparison immunity. When you make choices based on your own goals, not others' actions, you've leveled up psychologically. You no longer need external validation to feel secure. Actionable insight. Identify one area where you're spending because of FOMO or peer pressure and redirect that money into your savings or investments this month. Small shifts compound quietly into real wealth. Number 6, money isn't the main topic. Most people spend mental energy obsessing over every dollar, every market headline, every financial decision. Real wealth doesn't require constant attention. Instead, it runs on systems and automation, investments, bills, and savings on autopilot. When your finances are managed quietly in the background, your mental energy is freed up for bigger questions: growth, purpose, and opportunities that truly matter. You don't need to micromanage every cent to build wealth. You just need intentional systems that work for you. Why it matters. Mental bandwidth is finite. Constantly tracking, worrying, and reacting leads to mistakes, missed opportunities, and stress. Rich people understand that money is a tool, not the goal. Automating $1,000 a month into investments may feel small and boring, but over time it compounds quietly while you focus on projects, learning, or career growth. That invisible, uneventful consistency is the backbone of financial freedom. Rich Richard versus Poor Peter. Rich Richard automates $1,000 per month into a diversified portfolio. 10 years later, at 7% growth, that totals roughly $166,000. Poor Peter manually invests the same $1,000 per month, but misses several months due to procrastination or distraction. 10 years later, he has roughly $140,000, represents lost time, compounding, and focus. Principal extraction. This is systemic leverage. When money is on autopilot, you've leveled up psychologically. You stop reacting emotionally and start building quietly, consistently, and stress-free. Actionable insight. Set up automatic transfers for your savings and investments this week. Small, repeated actions executed consistently are more powerful than sporadic, intense effort. Number 7, rich in time, not just money. Most people measure wealth by dollars in the bank. Real wealth is also measured in freedom, breathing room, and white space in your calendar. You can earn a lot, but if you're constantly busy doing tasks someone else could handle, that income is a cage. Being rich in time means intentionally outsourcing, saying no to low-value commitments, and creating space to think, create, and live fully. Time is the ultimate currency. You can always earn more money, but lost hours never return. Why it matters? The richest people don't just accumulate assets, they buy time. Paying $500 a month for cleaning, groceries, or administration may feel like an expense, but the 10 hours per week it frees lets you focus on high-value activities, learning, or personal growth. Over a decade, that extra time compounds into better decisions, more opportunities, and richer experiences. Rich Richard versus Poor Peter. Rich Richard spends $500 per month outsourcing tasks, freeing roughly 10 hours per week. Over 10 years, that's 5,000 hours gained. Time to upskill, work on side projects, or simply rest, increasing his earning potential and well-being. Poor Peter does everything himself, saving $500 a month, but loses 5,000 hours over the same period. Those hours could have generated $100,000 plus in potential income or personal growth. Lost forever. Principal extraction. This is time leverage. When you prioritize freedom over trivial savings, you've leveled up psychologically. You no longer trade life for money. Money works to serve your life. Actionable insight. Identify one task you can outsource this month, even temporarily, and reclaim your mental and physical energy. That reclaimed time compounds quietly into wealth, opportunity, and freedom. Number 8. Taking ownership. Most people blame circumstances, the economy, or bad luck when things don't go their way. Real wealth comes when you stop making excuses and start controlling what you can. Taking ownership means tracking your expenses, planning for the future, and making intentional choices. No whining, no waiting for someone else to solve your problems. It's about being proactive, not reactive. Why it matters? When you take full responsibility, you see opportunities where others see obstacles. That discipline compounds, just like money does. The small adjustments you make today, optimizing spending, investing, negotiating, pile up quietly over 5, 10, or 20 years, giving you control and momentum that can't be taken away. Rich Richard versus Poor Peter. Rich Richard tracks every dollar, adjusts his habits, and invests $500 extra per month when possible. In 5 years, that adds roughly $33,000 to his net worth. Poor Peter blames the economy or bad timing and does nothing. 5 years later, his net worth stagnates at $0 additional growth, despite earning the same income. Ownership isn't flashy, it's invisible, but it compounds powerfully. Principal extraction. This is personal accountability mastery. When you take ownership, you've leveled up psychologically. You stop being a victim of circumstance and start being the architect of your financial future. Actionable insight. Pick one area this week where you've been reactive, expenses, investing, career planning, and take intentional action. That small choice starts the compounding process immediately. If you've seen any of these 8 signs in your life, even just 1 or 2, you're already ahead of most people. You're quietly building a foundation that will serve you for decades. You're not behind. You're not missing your chance. You're simply doing the work that others overlook because it's boring, subtle, or uneventful. You're not just earning money. You're not just saving. You're quietly creating freedom, options, and control that can't be taken from you. Not by a market crash, not by inflation, not even by your own doubts or mistakes. You're building immunity to external threats through deliberate, everyday choices. So keep going. Keep living below your means. Keep thinking long-term. Keep creating buffers. Keep investing, automating, and buying time. Because if it doesn't feel like you're rich yet, you probably are. Just quietly. Just consistently. And that's exactly how it should be.